Hi, everybody. It's good to see you all here today. We have Samantha, Vika, and Sergio with us. And first of all, Sergio, thank you so much for being willing to share your writing with us as an audience. It takes a certain amount of bravery to do that because you don't know how I'm going to respond, right?
Yes.
Was it helpful for you?
To me, it was, yes. Just at least by you reviewing it before sending it in, at least I know that I'm in the right track.
Okay, all right. Did it help to talk it through or to listen to me talk about your writing?
Yes. Yes.
And you can say I don't know how to explain it, but can you, if you can describe it, can you tell us how that was useful or not?
Yeah, it was useful. At least for me, I'm a visual, I guess, learner. By you pointing out the additions or what needs to the things that we need to work that I need to work on, it allows me to think along the way. It's easier than reading it just from the book or something.
All right, fantastic. Okay, so I'm glad that it was useful, and I encourage everybody to take a look at it because even though Sergio was the primary audience member, I was constantly saying, and this would be useful for other students in the class. So he was the primary audience member, but it was really meant for the entire class. So it's a long video, but it is, I think there were useful things all along the way. So I wanted to talk to you first, Samantha, and ask you, can you tell me your question again?
Um, it wasn't really much of a question. It was just um I was doubting everything that I was doing last night while I was finishing my draft for essay number 3.
Okay.
But after seeing that key questions, how does technology hinder us, and then how can we overcome one of the biggest challenges, I guess I was able to answer those problems of technology or in social media, and then was able to give out ways to um, to overcome those challenges.
Okay, so you had a problem that you discussed, and then you had some proof for those problems, right?
Yes.
From which texts did you choose to use?
I think from Sherry Turkles.
Right. And did you get in? You got some outside sources, correct?
Yes. I got
Okay.
some data from other resources.
Okay, so that was really important. I wanted you to be able to use a source from the textbook that was assigned. I also wanted you to be able to find something outside of it, as well as a visual. So did you include a visual as well?
I think so.
I mean, like a visual as in a photograph or a graph table or like, for example, up here, this little thing right here, I think you can see it. I know I can't see you, but I think you can see it.
Yeah. I added some visuals.
Okay. All right. So, and then you came up with some sort of solution or set of solutions.
Yeah, set of solutions.
Okay. And I said this to Sergio yesterday towards the end of the video. I think I might have said it before, but in scholarly writing, there's not always going to be a neat and tidy solution. It might be a set of solutions or a partial solution.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to say that, you know, in your conclusion that there's still more to be done in some sort of way. So that's perfectly acceptable. You don't have to have everything be perfect in that way. That's not realistic. That's a utopia or a perfect world.
Okay.
Okay, so do you have any other particular questions that you would like me to answer, or do you want to just listen for a little bit and I can come back to you?
I can listen for a little bit.
Okay, all right. Vika, did you have any questions, or did you just want to come on and listen?
Yeah, I just want to listen in.
Okay, all right. Did you turn
I'm trying to unload again. I'm trying to log in so I can see the screen again.
Okay, well, even if you're unable to see the screen, I am videotaping it. I wasn't sure if I was going to or not, but I made the decision as we've been talking that I am videotaping it, even if it's a short session. Oh, I know. I don't know if you're hearing that background. But did you turn in your draft yet? Did you turn in a draft of project number 3 yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, and so what are you planning on writing about? Do you know?
No, not really.
Okay, so one of the things that you might want to do to help you come up with an idea, because a first draft is due tonight. It does not have to be a perfect draft, though, but just a first draft. Is the key questions are here. It says, how does technology hinder us? And then how can we overcome one of the biggest challenges? Okay, so it's a problem solution paper. So you can think of a problem that is outside the text from the Wild Wired West and just use one to refer to your response, okay? And then find some outside source to support what you're saying. If you just want to get something written out and look for a source later on, you can do that as well. But definitely, I want you to get started with that first draft. And it can be messy. So,
Okay.
and I do recommend seeing the video that I sent yesterday via announcements, the one with Sergio, because he has a sample problem and solution that may help wet your whistle with some ideas. Okay. All right. So Sergio, did you have any questions or thoughts that you wanted to share today?
No, I was just thinking about how to correct or make some of the additions that you suggested when it comes to explaining multitasking and stuff like that. That I never thought about that before we had our meeting yesterday.
I hadn't thought about that either until you told us, in case you didn't see the video. Sergio, how many hours do teens tend to spend on social media?
It's approximately 9 hours.
9 hours.
Throughout the day, yeah.
And
at least that's based on what I read or what I read on some of those websites that I looked up that information.
Right. And so you came to the conclusion, and I was like, 9 hours, they don't have time to do anything else. And you were talking about the multitasking, right?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about how you envision that they're multitasking.
Well, if you spend 9 hours on the phone, I mean, you still have to do other stuff around the house. You have to do homework if you have homework, or just about any other activity. So that means that you probably have the phone in one hand and your eyes and your ears on something different throughout the day as you're walking around, moving around. You have to do that. It's almost impossible to do 9 hours without interfering with anything else that you're doing throughout the day.
Right. And I think that they have probably an accuracy about that in terms of, I know my phone, I actually just learned this because I got a little thing sent to me. You spent so many hours on social, on your phone, right? And it's not all social media, but I think it's phone hours.
Total, yeah.
Right. And I think that what you just said is actually good. That's what you should write about. And so when you are taking your focus off what you're doing, especially some of the simple things, then you aren't really paying close attention, and that might connect to the anxiety that people feel.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I have a long drive to work. I have 27 miles that I drive. And I don't completely hate it all the time, you know, because it gives me an opportunity to listen to the radio or listen to a YouTube video, not watch it, right? I'm listening. But sometimes I get overstimulated and I just turn it off.
Yes.
And I don't know that everybody gives themselves that sort of permission to turn it off and to pay attention to what's around them.
Yes. I
So,
agree with that.
right. Which, like I said, again, you know, if I'm overstimulated, then I'm not going to be able to give my best self to my students
Right.
when I'm there at work, right? Because I've already overdone it.
It's too much coming in.
Right. Okay, so I think that just what we just discussed here is perfect.
Okay.
Perfect, and you could definitely add that in for sure.
Okay.
Samantha, do you have any questions that you would like to add?
I actually just came back because my connection got bad, and then I transferred it over the phone.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
No, that's okay. That's all right. I noticed that I thought you had gone, but I wasn't sure because I can't see your beautiful face. So I was just making sure. Okay, did you hear some of this though then?
I only heard half of it. I will review since you're recording the screen share, right? I'll review it, the video.
Yes. So is there something that you'd like to talk about specifically in your paper that you're not sure about?
I guess in the paper, are we limited to only one or two one problem, or can we do lots of problems in how technology hinders us?
Okay, I think that's a fantastic question, and I am really glad that you asked it. But the answer is it depends. And so I'll share what it depends on. First of all, your paper is 1,250 words, which is approximately 5 pages without the visual. And you have to have an introduction and you have to have a conclusion. And so if the problems connect with one another, then I would say that you could do more than one. But if you're doing like completely different problems, I would rethink that. But you could have like an umbrella problem and then maybe have like sub problems. Does that make sense?
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because I think that's how I did my paper. I did one cause and effect transition and then ended up with a conclusion with it. Yeah.
Right. And that's a term that a lot of writing teachers use is the idea of unpacking something. So sometimes students will throw something out there, they will write a little bit about it, and they're not really giving enough detail with it. And so unpacking it or laying it out so that the audience knows what you're talking about and really laying those connections in a more overt or obvious way is what scholars do. You don't want to make assumptions about your audience that may not be true, right? Now, again, our audience are, I'm going to move this down because I want to see the right generation here, is millennials and Gen Z. So people who were born in the 90s and 2000s, right? So I'm going to be reading the paper. So, you know, I am an audience member, but I'm not the main audience. And the reason for that is that I really believe that it is going to be the millennials and Gen Z who are going to lay the groundwork for thinking about how to live with this amazing social media without going insane. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's a you know, an exaggerated problem, but you know, in talking about people, you know, teens having all this anxiety and all of that, there's got to be some discussion about limitations but I don't necessarily know what all those limitations are because I don't even know what everybody's doing, right? I don't even get it all. So okay, so and then remember There's my dog. She's saying hi. I want to remind you that the purpose here, it says the audience has grown up largely not knowing what life was like without the internet and forgetting what life was before Web 2.0. And I do have a link to Web 2.0 on here if you need to go back and take a look at it. We won't be going backwards. We can't undo the tech revolution, but as technology continues to expand at a speed we can't keep up with, we need to think about the long-term consequences and what guidelines we should keep in mind as we invite all of this technology into our lives. So that's something to keep in mind as you are answering these key questions and paying attention to the prompt and parameters.
Okay.
So, all right. So if you have more questions, I'm happy to answer them. If you feel set and ready to go for the, this next part, we can end our meeting. So it's up to you guys.
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good too.
I'm good.
All right. Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me and asking such wonderful questions. And I wish you a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank
See you
you.
soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to your essays.